Hi guys, what is up? My name is Megan and welcome back to Book Talk with Meg. Hope you guys are doing well. Today I'm here to bring back a series on my channel which I started in 2019, did consistently for a few months, and then kind of fell out of when I was in a reading slump. So if you guys have been following me since then, you might know what it is, but it is my Book Review Tuesday, where every Tuesday I review a book that I have read for you guys in order for you to be able to make more conscious decisions about the books you want to read. Usually the types of books I review for this series are books that are either overhyped, new releases, books I have adored and I feel like none of you guys have heard about or not enough of you have read, or books I feel were terrible and that you should just skip. To bring back this series, I thought we would start out strong with a book I have absolutely adored. You've probably heard me rave about in a vlog and also in my January wrap-up, which I'll link up in the cards if you've been following my channel, but if you haven't and wanted more information, I am going to be talking about A Heart in a Body in the World by Deb Caletti. This is a long title, but really worth it. So, this book is a YA contemporary novel. It is more in the hard-hitting elements. There is no romance in this, and this book I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. This book is also 355 pages long, and I feel like a lot of people know about Deb Caletti. This obviously isn't a debut novel. But I feel like no one except a few booktubers here and there, like Mel from Mel to the Any, she talked about it. She's the one who made me want to pick it up. So now it's my turn to talk about it in hopes that someone else will want to pick it up. This book, honestly, is a life changer and I really do feel it should be required reading. It follows the story of a main character who has gone through some pretty severe trauma, which you don't really know what the trauma is at the start of this book. But what you do know is she's not doing so well, and at one point in the beginning of the novel, she just starts running. She's running because she's trying to outrun her emotions, her thoughts, everything that's going on in her life, and she just doesn't want to stop. At one point though, she realizes that obviously she's running away from home. Her mom's gonna be like crazy, like looking for her, so she decides to tell her mom, like, I'm running and I'm not coming back. Her mom freaks out, goes to see her, and they arrange for her to do this run that only a few Americans, I believe, have done, where she would run from Seattle to Washington, and it's going to take her a couple of months. So the entire plot of this book is we follow our main character as she runs 16 miles every day, and she is accompanied by her grandfather in an RV, and she just keeps running. As our main character runs, they obviously encounter some people. Her friends are trying to get her story out through the world in the media, and we follow a lot of her inner thoughts, where as the story progresses, we learn more about the trauma. Now this feels like a very simple book, which it is, but it's also one of the books that has hit close to home, like the most. Out of all the books I've ever read, this book made me bawl my eyes out, and it also made me reflect on a lot of the constructs of society and what we have normalized as a society in 2020. This book is pretty new. I believe it came out in 2018 or 2019, and it touches on a lot of really important topics. There's a lot of discussions based on what it is to be female in this world and the societal expectations and what we think is normal. It kind of talks a lot about like boys will be boys, and just what we as females kind of need to do to protect ourselves. Obviously it talks about her type of trauma and how it's kind of like not normalized but kind of in today's society, which that's the part of the book that struck a chord with me most. There are some trigger warnings for this book for death of a close one, like a close friend or relative, or you know, anything that could make you emotional in that sense. There's also a trigger warning for abuse in here. And if you guys aren't in a great mental space, probably don't recommend. If I would have read this like last year or the year before even, probably wouldn't have been able to finish this book because it's so personal to me, but now I am so glad that I have read it. I feel that if you guys are looking for a book that is very valuable in its opinions, something that is very relevant to today's society, something that will make you think about other people's experiences and how it changes you as a being, as well as seeing some very wholesome things in regards to friendships and family bonds, I think this is definitely for you. This is a very moving book, but I just wanted to make a quick book review for you guys because I think that it is so important and so enlightening, and if you want to be more aware of the problems in society and make yourself more conscious and maybe even educate yourself on how certain life events affect people, I would highly recommend reading this. I don't want to spoil more of the plot, but I just think that this is a gem. It is incredible, and I have nothing bad to say about this. The pacing was incredible. The character development in this is bloody fantastic. I loved the grandfather in this book and his own kind of character growth and the changes he goes through as they are along in this journey. I love the interactions between our main character and her grandfather, and from the community around her, how supportive her friends were, and just I loved being in her head. And I feel like when we follow her as she runs, there are kind of flashbacks to events that have happened, which lead you to understand her story. I found that it was beautiful and such an intriguing way to do things, because some people in reviews that I've seen have said like we should have known it from the start, like what happened to her, but it's much more impactful in the way that it's done, and it's also that you create more of a significant bond with the character as she kind of recounts the story in her head. It's very, very emotional, but so beautiful. So read it, guys. That's pretty much all I have to say about this book. The writing is very simple, so don't worry about it being overly powerful or too flowery. The impact of this book is in the thoughts of the main character, not necessarily the writing style or the overarching plot, because it's literally her running shoes, and an open road. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye, guys!